Did we not introduce your daughter?
No, they did.
I don't remember. I know she was here, and I remember her saying, no, I don't remember if we, I said we have a student representative, but I didn't know who they were. Well, no, I knew who she was, but I wasn't sure if we were saying the name. We're going to call to order the Athol-Royalston Regional School District School Committee meeting for Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. We are recording this for playback on YouTube or AOTV or wherever the lovely place it wants to stream. This evening, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Eric, will you start us off?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on, we have the approval of minutes for January 15th, 2025. Is there a motion? Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Is there a second? Lee, thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? And Kylie, you were in here. Okay, yep, perfect. Do we have any public input over there? You didn't see anybody on there? Is there anybody here for public input? No? Okay. This evening we had our recognitions just prior to this meeting. Our recognitions this evening were at RCS, Finley Fontaine and Alex Few. At ACES, Clayton Palmer and Scarlett Collins. At ARMS, Shania Luna and Jonathan Singley. At the high school, Ollie Lefsick and Nathan Brower. And our Subway Scholar athletes this evening were Abigail McNamara and Madeline Hermes. Congratulations to you all. This evening, we do have a student representative here with us, and somebody will be introducing her because I'm so sorry I don't know who you are. But thank you for being here.
This is Alana Dupont. She is a junior at the Athol High School, and she is currently the president of the student council.
Excellent.
I have the Athol High School's February highlights that I'm here to share, and I'm also sharing the upcoming events at the high school. Last night, 33 10th graders taking AP seminar presented their team multimedia projects to classmates, teachers, and public. There were 8 groups of students who presented their research. Athol High School's mock trial finished up their season at the beginning of February, where they competed against Fitchburg High School in the preliminary rounds. They ended their season 0-3 overall, but 1 point for winning arguments in every trial. On Monday, February 10th, 2025, students from Athol High School were visited by Patrick Tutwiler, Massachusetts Secretary of Secretary of Education, and Noah Ortega, Massachusetts Commissioner of Higher Education, as part of their financial aid roadshow, Free and Affordable College is Here. The discussion was focused on delivering the message that by completing the free application for federal student aid, students were eligible to receive free tuition and fees to any of the state's 15 community colleges and eligible for free or reduced tuition and fees to any of the 6 state university and 4 University of Massachusetts campuses. Additionally, this past Monday, students in grades 8 through 11 began the course selection process of 2025 to 2026 school year. All students were presented with information about their options for next year, which included being able to learn more about our programs such as early college and innovation career pathways. Athol High School Student Council is also workshopping the potential for student-led focus groups, which can be run during advisory to allow more students an opportunity to have a voice and discuss ways to improve the school community and culture within the high school. We had 22 8th grade students attend our prospective students night on February 4th. Students and families were provided dinner and then toured the high school with current high school students to get a feel for school and information on clubs and classes offered. Lastly, senior Carly Chase qualified for states in indoor track for shot put. Her qualifying throw was 28 feet and 11.76 inches. She will compete in states this Sunday at the Reggie Lewis Center at 1 p.m. Then the upcoming events, the Athol High School Student Council is planning on putting on a students versus staff basketball game on Wednesday, March 12th, where the Athol High School students will play staff from across the district. It is Student Council's hope to bring the entire Athol-Royalston school community together, along with the public, all while raising some money. Our academic decathlon team will compete in states on March 1st at MIT, and we have 2 students who will be showcasing their independent research projects at the Regional Science Fair on March 7th. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Of course. You do not have to stay, so you are welcome to leave. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask for a motion to move up our technology update to this point in our agenda. Dan is here, but he's under the weather, and I'd like to send him home so he can get some rest. Motion made. Second, thank you. All those in favor? Thank you so much. Is he available? Okay.
Thought it was. Is he?
Thank you.
Thanks, Josh. I guess we could. I'm sorry about that.
did the first motion?
Oh, Eric. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. If he didn't stay, we can always just table it till next month. If he's not here, it is in our packet, so.
Right, we could just, we can move on.
Okay. Well, if it's okay,
Yeah.
we'll continue and we'll come right back to him if he pops in here. Moving down to unfinished business, the Commonwealth Virtual School, there's some information in your packet. After some back and forth with DESE, we found out that we are not at our current 1% cap. The student that needed to be in was accepted, and it's at this time, it's a recommendation not to move the cap because there still is room. So if anybody has. Okay, perfect. Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion about it? Does anybody have any questions? No?
Keep a monthly update on the cap, the numbers where we're at.
Yep.
Just for our packets here.
Yep, we still have multiple spots
Yep.
left to fill to even get to the 1%, and we didn't hit it last year or this year or any year since we've had it since 2019.
Was there just a miscommunication?
I think there must have been some sort of, some recording somewhere had us that we were at max, but I think it was based off of our old data of how many students are in the district. Our current data says that we are at 1,638 enrolled here, and
We have 12 students.
we have 12 in the program, so we do have additional seats. It's just, there's no need to move it if we don't have anybody there, so. Awesome. So there's a motion made and seconded. All those in favor of keeping it as is? Thank you. Dan, thank you so much. I hope you feel better. No, you're fine. We wanted to get you home as quickly as possible, but feel free.
So you all have the update in the packet, and I'll just go through it, and as always, interrupt with questions whenever you have one. So the federal reporting, CRDC, we talked about that last time, that's ongoing. It's due March 7th. There's been some issues that website frequently goes down, which is interesting given what's happening in our country right now, but the website is slow often, and you kind of have to work through it, and that's why we work on it so early, because once you get close to the deadline, it is very difficult to use. So we'll have that done way before March 7th. The school attending children report, same thing, ongoing. We talked about it last time. That's due February 21st, and we'll be on time with that one. MCAS testing, I talked about that last time. I was concerned about the fact that we didn't have full access to it. And we now have access. We've actually done a test at the high school, and it went really well. So I've been worried about this for quite some time, and it's feeling like they might have produced a pretty good product. So we're happy about that. So far, so good with the MCAS. We did have an issue with a camera system here in this building, and we replaced the hardware in that, and the cameras are back up and running. We worked with the Family Center on translations. That's been a big deal, you know, as we've talked about in the past, a lot of translation needs. And we sort of changed how they're doing the report card process, which made it a lot easier for them to do the translations. So we're going to continue to work with them in the future and stuff like that. But I think it definitely had an impact, and they were able to get it done much faster. The online facilities use form that was created and published on the district website, and working with the facilities director to make scheduling easier and more efficient. The NWEA testing, that happened, completed successfully, and we'll be doing it again at the end of the year. The employee onboarding process, there was a sheet that we've been using, and Anthony, as you know, I introduced him last time, he's really good with spreadsheets, and he took a look at that and made some improvements, and that's better utilized at this point. Also working on the high school PA system. That's in the auditorium. They've got issues there where it really doesn't sound good, and pretty much need a big upgrade there. So we have some funding that, Matt, to be totally honest with you, I don't remember where the funding is coming from, but we do have funding for this year, and we're getting quotes, and we're going to be upgrading that system before the end of the year.
I believe we still have money in the DESI one-time fund. Nancy's not here to blurt that out, so I wanted to do that on her behalf.
Yep. And then the last thing is, there's a room in here, over there, that does not get announcements. So if there was some kind of emergency, they wouldn't know about it if the doors are closed in there. So we have to get that wired up and get a speaker put in there. And we're working with NSG Life Safety to do that. Lots of other stuff obviously going on, but these are the highlights.
Awesome.
Any questions? Okay. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
For technology, Anthony, thank you so much for getting the website updated. The menus look so much better alphabetized. Thanks for taking that and teaching me how to tell parents where to go to find teacher information, because it was not obvious to a lot of parents. So thank you for the work that you put in, and thanks for asking. And if anyone else sees anything on the website that needs updating or could look better, flow better, Anthony and Dan are obviously our contacts here, and you can go through Matt or myself, but thank you for getting those done. It looks so much better, so much cleaner. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. Okay, moving now back into order of new business, we have the RCS 24-25 school year presentation. I was going to say, are they cheaters or readers? 'Cause for me, they're cheaters.
So I have a 5-minute presentation for you. Superintendent Error. Oh, you want me to do? Oh,
Do you want to do that?
yeah, you do. Okay. Okay. I did add, I think, maybe 2 more photos than what you got in your original packet. But so I wanted to be able to talk about RCS and what we've been working on this year as a staff, because you've heard from a couple of the other schools. So our first slide is our goals for the district. So things that we've been focusing on, so improving student learning, using our quality instructional materials and making sure things are engaging for students. And one of the other pieces for me for focusing for this year, which is also part of our district, is strengthening our partnerships within the community. Because last year was my first year in the district, and so people were getting to know me. And so we did a lot of work with my PTG group over the summer, planning for this year, because I wanted to make sure people would have access to the school. And so that's kind of some of the things we're going to talk about. One of my huge focuses was to focus on strengthening our team at RCS, because like I said, last year was my first year, and we tailored our building schedule to make sure that our special education teachers and our interventionists could be, because we have, I have 1 classroom per grade level, and so I can't have all my classes focusing on English at the same time, because we need to make sure we can get people in. So really being purposeful with our building schedule, and then collaboratively designing time during the school day for my core teachers to be able to meet with the special ed teachers bi-weekly, and to be able to meet with the interventionist on the opposite week. So we were able to get that into our schedule as well this year, which was a request from my building instructional leadership team from the previous year. So I was like, we will figure it out. So we did. So my teachers and our special ed interventionists have time to be able to plan, implement interventions, and actually review data and make adjustments as needed. And they can plan for co-teaching, our co-teaching model for inclusion. One of the wonderful things for me this year is being able to see the different ways in my grade levels are collaborating to do co-teaching, and they're really getting creative in sharing classroom space. My 5th and 6th grade team, they lend themselves to be able to do that quite often, and we're getting the students ready for the middle school. So we had a STEM day, and there were, I think there were 10 different stations, and 5th and 6th graders were joined together, and they opened the classroom doors, and there were kids in the hallway working on things, and they rotated through the stations throughout the day at 15-minute intervals. And they were doing ELA, and they were doing math and problem solving. It was outstanding, and the kids were thoroughly engaged. And then our 1st grade, our 2nd grade, and our 3rd grade are currently working on targeted interventions, and it looks different in each classroom, but typically the special ed teachers in there with our paraprofessionals are being in charge of a group, and our interventionists and our classroom teachers. So there's 4 core groups, and it's targeted interventions based off of what specific students need, and we're doing that in 1st grade, 2nd grade, and 3rd grade. And my 5th and 6th grade piloted a walk to learn model. So they took the 2 classrooms, and they have their 2 classroom teachers, the special ed teacher who works with both grade levels, the interventionists, and the pairs in the 2 spaces. And they looked at the children, and they combined 5th and 6th graders based off of needs that they showed through MAP testing or MCAS that there were gaps. So some of the students are working on writing. Some of the students were working on phonics. We had an extension group where kids who were at grade level were able to reach the new rigor and do some independent pieces and work together collectively so that they could reach that higher level. And they just finished a cycle that they did for 6 weeks. They've given them assessments, and then they're actually redoing their 2nd walk to learn model. So I'm interested to see what that's going to yield for us with their classroom assessments. What we'd like to do moving forward is do one of the same walk to learn models with our 4th and our 3rd grade classroom. So we'll be working on that. I did include a fun little picture for our school culture. I think the biggest piece for me at RCS was making sure the staff knew that my plan was to stay at RCS and be there for them and be there for the families and the kids. And we've really embraced quite a few things. And I know you see the newsletters when they come out. I usually have a staff group photo, and everybody was wearing their red sweatshirts today because it was our superhero day. And I'm like, you're all superheroes because you're with kids. So it was we do a lot of those different things. And I think one of my teachers pointed out to me, she's like, you do a really good job at celebrating us. And like Cindy knows, I always send her little pictures, and I'll have I had an apple bar. I saw it online. I was like, we're going to do this. And so the teachers had different toppings, and they cut up their apples, and they love that the best out of everything, yeah. And then they get something for the holidays, and I try my best to let them know how much I appreciate them. Yep. So over the summer, I kept thinking about, we're education, so we like to eat, live, sleep, breathe, all the different things. And when I was a classroom teacher, I had read Ron Clark's The End of Molasses Classes. If you don't know who Ron Clark is, there's a wonderful Lifetime movie that was created with Matthew Perry as Ron Clark, so you can find that. But he is an innovative educator who now owns his own school, and he has many different books. So The End of Molasses Classes has little vignettes, and it's quick. It's like a 2-page read, and it's all about your culture, getting families connected to school, what you can do as administrators and as families and as teachers. And so I sent copies out to my staff over the summer. And one of my teachers sent me the screenshot from Facebook from one of my paras and one of my classroom teachers who had their books, and they put this on social media, and I just thought that was outstanding. Because everybody, paras and teachers, got the book as well. And we started a professional library this year, which has a variety of things that came out of my building instructional leadership survey for different topics my staff would be interested in for professional development. So you see a variety of Ron Clark pieces and Ross Green, who we're maybe going to be working with as a district. I'm very excited about that. and his platform for classroom management and how to support youth that are, have trauma in their lives. And there's a connection between Universal Design for Learning and Ross Green. But the teachers have been very excited about being able to take books out. And I've actually found there's a couple of books that I ordered for my staff that I've actually recommended for families. There's 2 about raising adolescent young men and raising adolescent young ladies. And so I have parents signing stuff out of the professional library too, which has been great. Another thing that we are doing district-wide this year is looking at student work to align that to our state standards and see if the students' work that's being produced aligns with that and what that looks like. And my building instructional leadership team just had a meeting today after school, and we were looking at work from a specific classroom, and it was outstanding. And the teacher actually asked at the end, they're very excited, and they're like, can I make some changes and then do this again with my class and bring it back to the group? So the excitement about actually looking at student work, taking the fear away of what we're going to be discussing to move instruction in the building has been phenomenal this year. And I will credit that to our data chats. This is our year 2. Last year we had 2 data chats, and what that looks like is the classroom teacher. They're bringing their MAP testing scores, MCAST. We look at DIBELS. We look at a variety of different things, and they're looking at their data. They come, we have a conversation. They make an action plan as to different bands of students where we're seeing the gaps, and they focus on that for 6 to 8 weeks. We meet again and we revisit it and look for growth, and if we need coaching help or different pieces, we're utilizing that too. And that's where some of the, like looking at student work, we were looking at our data chats from the ones that we just had right before Christmas break, which was a coaching session, but we had some gaps in certain grades. And so I had said to those teachers, like, please come and bring your work to the building instructional leadership team so we can look at your student work and have a conversation about if it's meeting the standard or not. So that's been wonderful this year. This is just a quick overview of our data chats and what that actually looks like. This year, we've been able to, Jason Webster came up with Jamie Hume, which is the coach from the middle school. They were able to sit in one of our sessions, and I'm hoping they're going to be able to join us on February 28th as well. Because around that table, after we met last year for the first time, I surveyed my staff and I said, did you find this valuable? What can we change for next time? And my classroom teachers were like, I'd really love it if the special ed teacher was here. I'd really love it if the interventionist was here. So I made sure that when we started our round of data chats this year, we incorporated those staff. And it's been outstanding to see the collaboration and really focusing on the different skills that the kids need. And there is a consensus between our building, because the coaches come from ACES, they're seeing similarities in ACES too for the needs. So looking forward to what that brings for us at the end of the month. Partnerships. I have some data, which is in your packet, from our open house from the first year I joined the district to our open house this past year. We were able to increase our community members that did attend for our families, and I surveyed the parents this year, our parents and guardians, about different things that I could do as building principal, different topics they would be interested in, and we partnered with our commissioner about internet safety, and so we had an evening piece online where we could talk about, anti-bullying and the internet safety. And the next piece the parents were really interested in was being able to talk about their child's testing data. So we're going to be working on doing a presentation for them in March. We have this wonderful photo where we were able to actually bring our students to the Royalston Town Hall, and they voted. PTG gave us some money for outdoor recess equipment, and the kids got to pick the different categories and how to vote, and they went through the whole process. We made them picture IDs. They had to go through the checklist. And then Marie Barclay told me that there were more students that actually came to the voting with their guardians, and she attributes it to being able to go through this process. And so we are going to continue this again next year as well. And what else? Oh, yeah. We have a wonderful partnership with the Royalston Academy for their grant. So we've been trying to get more artists to come in and different things like that. So we were able to have Frank Gantos come in and our PTG collaborated with us, so we were able to purchase his books, and we used it as a reward for that month for the students. This just is more of an overview of trying to increase our guardian involvement. And we have our traditional pieces where we have our events that, we do something for the winter, right before winter break, and there are certain things I did not include. These were additional pieces. So really trying to have my classroom teachers think about how they're going to be purposeful with getting parents on campus. And we had a 4th grade did a state fair, so there's some photos of that. And then 5th grade just had their writers cafe, so the students had been working on personal narratives for almost 2 months, and they invited family in, and they were sitting in little clusters in the caf and reading their work. And Officer Josh was there, and then that's Officer K. He's new to Royalston, so they were sitting with a group of children too. It's the additional picture I wanted to add. And last but not least, our PTG, I worked over the summer, and we've been really purposeful with making sure we could try to have a different event each month to have more people come on campus. And we're having our S'more Kindness event the Friday after break. As I'm looking everywhere, we're going to have some warming fires outside, and we're going to have, s'mores for the kids, not to cook over the fire. We have a separate piece for that. But we'll be outside, so we're looking forward to that. I think that's it. Yeah. Are there questions? I know that's a lot. I was trying to be fast. I had 5 minutes. I'm trying.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing this to us. It's interesting to see what Royalston does as a parent whose kids went through the Athol school system. So I'm hoping that the other schools do use this as a hey, maybe we could do that too. Or so. Thank you for bringing that to us. It's great to see. Thank you. I'm wondering if it's the momentum of like getting up and moving and kind of.
Part of it, but they're also working with, at RCS, we talked about this a lot. There is one grade from kindergarten all the way through 6th grade with the same kids every single day, every year. And so I think they also just enjoy the opportunity to work with students that don't work with all the time.
And it's nice to see the different grades. Like, so one group has so many 6th graders and so many 5th graders in it, and they do so many different activities together. It's really, I would say, it's like one classroom for different times. But yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Okay, in the communications, next is the district enrollment. It's where I pulled the 1,638 from. That's our current district enrollment. If anybody has any questions, we are keeping an eye on the enrollments for any type of virtual school. At this time, I don't believe there has been any additional requests, but just so you know, that's in your packet. We already did our technology update, and we're moving on to financial statements and approval of accounts. Nancy is also under the weather this evening, so we have Matt to fill in. Unfortunately, we did not meet at the budget sub, so we do kind of need a little bit of an update, so.
Sure. So there is a financial package in your, with your agenda. I have Nancy's notes, which I will try to go through, probably not as well as she does. Our year-to-date figures are definitely on track. While some lines are over budget, there are savings in other areas that are definitely going to help offset those. Nancy likes to each time highlight some of the overages just so people are aware. So if you notice on page 10, foster care expenses did increase by $7,000 since last month. Now we're approaching $50,000 over budget. This is due to just our increased number of foster students and the services that they need. The transportation costs have become absolutely insane. There were conversations about that with the state just the other day. Legislators and the department are now even trying to determine whether or not they're going to put some cap or limit or some other system into place, because districts, including us, are seeing increases in transportation at 12%, 20%, 33%, and there's usually only one bus company that bids for each district. And it's kind of a little system that the bus companies have with one another, not blaming anyone. Merrifields does a wonderful job of servicing our needs, but something that the state's looking into. The SRO line on page 11 is above budget. It's 20,000 over. That's actually probably an issue with the budgeting because we had agreed to pay the SROs a certain amount, and that's in accordance with our MOA. Page 14, our unemployment costs rose from last month, so those also are over budget. Again, I want to be clear that there's plenty of lines where we're not over budget and we're underspent. So everything is very well balanced right now. We're not looking at going into the red in any fashion. We're definitely in the black still. With regards to our grants, we received approval finally for the actual intensive assistance grant. That is the $325,000 that we're getting this year for ACEs. We're going to have 3 years of that funding, and that's going to be applied towards salaries to help address overages in that area. But again, there are specific positions that were put in and programs that were put in with that money that we work with the Department of Ed and our state system of support to continue to monitor. The FY26 budget status. The good news, kind of, the governor's budget proposal did come out. Their proposal included a 3.05% increase in Chapter 70 funding. That for us turned into $756,413. There was a 16.66% increase in regional school transportation, equating to an additional $128,000 for $128,992, for the district. And there was a 55.89% decrease in our charter school reimbursement, reducing that funding by $68,222. We did check, I believe I've said it a few times, possibly publicly, our district's low-income grouping did fall back into Group 10. We are classified as Group 10, and this time we were 16 students shy of being in Group 11. This year, we're in Group 11. For FY26, as concerned about, we did drop back down into Group 10. This year, we were 4 students short originally, and we went back and forth. I managed to work with the Senate and the Department of Ed to get the right funding and identify those kids. There's not going to be any opportunity for us to move into the other group for FY26, unless there are significant enrollment changes. If that happens, we're certainly going to stay on top of it and then continue to be in touch with the state. However, it is all based on our October 1st data, so as kids move in, we may get additional funding for foster or circuit breaker funds for special needs students, but that Chapter 70 is more than likely going to be locked where it is. This one's a little hard for me to share. We just got this today, and Nancy did put it on here. We received our final medical insurance increase today, which is definitely higher than anticipated. We received a 19.92% increase to our insurance. Our retirees pay 100% of their dental, and their increase came in at 10.4% for the total for our retirees' insurance. I have already reached out to Maya, started trying to talk to some of their bigwigs at the top and see if there's anything that we can do. Nancy and I also did already reach out to the GIC. I jumped on it to see if we were able to move even potentially back into the GIC for this coming year, for FY26. I've not been in communication with anyone from the GIC yet, but I will say that in communication with our Maya rep, she informed me that the GIC, and this was the case when we were entering, or when we were exiting, I apologize. When I first entered, we left the GIC. They need to be notified, I believe it's December 1st, for any upcoming movement for that July. So being in February now and having just received the final numbers for our insurance puts us behind the 8 ball, and I don't know that we'll be able to move to the GIC for this upcoming year, but it's certainly something that I'll be discussing with the business office and our union and all of the staff to figure out what it is we want to do, if we want to continue with Maya and see if there's any changes to our rates or if we decide to move to the GIC. We will get a cost analysis put together for what the GIC increases are right now. I am told that this is not uncommon. It's not just our district. Other districts in the area are seeing increases of upwards of 20%. I believe I was told one district saw a 30% increase, and there are now districts that are actually being denied. They're actually refusing coverage because of the claims that they're seeing and the rates that are coming in. So, forecasting of revenues, right now, with respect to FY '26, Nancy and I are still working on forecasting the revenues and taking the expenses that we have and getting them down to a place where it will be palatable for the towns. We had a meeting scheduled with Sean Sahosky for tomorrow to go over some of our initial numbers. I'm not sure whether that's gonna happen or not. I have a feeling that once I leave, a lot of your phones are gonna ring, or you'll get text messages. We may meet virtually, but we'll be in touch through the day tomorrow and see if we could still have that meeting. As you see, Nancy's also under the weather, so that could put a damper on things. However, we have asked, I think Nancy mentioned last time, we've received feedback from our principals and our department leaders where we asked every one of them to see what they could do to remove $300,000 from their budget. Right now, with all of the requests originally that came in and the funding that we initially saw, we're about $1.2 million off from the budget. We found some savings. We got that down to about $800,000, and then today we just tacked another $200,000 back onto that. So we're gonna be continuing to work. We still need to do some work on what can happen with our grants now and what funds could be moved from potentially, what costs for '26 can be moved into rural aid, what costs can potentially be moved this year into school choice or into circuit breaker expenses. So there's a lot of shifting and maneuvering that can still happen, so we're definitely not done. But we're making headway, and as I said, I'm hopeful that by the time we return from February break, we'll be able to sit down with the towns and have a joint town meeting with both Athol and Royalston and present our numbers. We will be in touch with everyone, and we're close. But unfortunately, we keep getting some hits that we need to readjust for. But it will be okay. Questions about the budget?
Okay, moving on. Reports of the committee, reports of the chair. Do have a few things this evening. We were contacted by the town, basically asking for a representative or two from the school committee who may be interested in joining a task force to look at housing inquiries here in our district. Matt may want to speak a little bit more, but we want to make it, I want to make it clear, and I think the committee would feel the same, if we are going to increase housing here and bring in multiple family units here, we really need to think about what our school system looks like, and we need to have town support in order for us to continue to look at a feasibility study to see what we're going to do. Putting in potentially $1 billion of investments here, and I think you may know a little bit more about what type of construction or buildings maybe we're looking at, or how many units there could be.
Well, I know they just approved to go forward with the Elmville River Bend project.
Yeah.
I think that's about 50 units. You know, off the top of my head, there's probably another couple hundred units being proposed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include all the inquiries. I think this is where this stems from, is Sean got an inquiry from some potential buyers to buy a lot of the vacant property in town and turn that into housing.
Correct.
So that's why I think they're looking for a representative. from us.
Okay, so, I mean, the whole idea is, yes, do we want to be part of the conversation? Yes. But as a district, we do need to be supported in what we are looking for to advance our community here in our school district. So, Matt, if you want to say a couple of words, if there's a volunteer who would like to continue on the task force, I know that you're involved in different levels, so I won't ask, but Frank, you did show some interest in just at least listening in, and yeah, and I appreciate that. Bobby, thank you, yes, and thank you both for going to that meeting, those couple of meetings, and listening in, and bringing back to us what we didn't know was happening. So thank you for doing that. But Matt, you want to add to that?
Sure. I can say, we as the school district recognize the financial struggles of the town, and we recognize that adding any type of additional space in our schools could potentially have an impact. However, with this type of housing information, we're going to have more students coming in, and we really are almost at, I would say we're at capacity, if not above capacity already. The town has been working with us very freely. Everything has been very copacetic. The towns have been sharing information with us. We've been working with Sean and Eric Smith. I was going to say Eric Smith did provide us with an updated listing of what he has as the incoming housing units and what I believe are estimated to be the numbers that will be coming in with that space.
In terms of families.
In terms of families, and bedrooms in each of the apartments. So that's been absolutely, everything has been very amicable, and we're working with the towns, and I do believe that we will figure out a way to come to a place where we understand what we need to get the needs of our students served and to continue to grow our community, because this type of growth in the community is actually a wonderful thing. Most regions in this area are seeing people moving away, they're seeing their student enrollment decline, and they're shutting schools. We are having the opposite. People are coming to our community, they want to be here, they want to stay here, and we want to make sure they're educated. So I think that's where we want to make sure that we're involved in this housing task force, because we want to be there and understand what's coming in so we can work together with the community, with everyone, the towns, and anyone who wants to come out and be involved in the planning of it, right? We need to work together to make sure we're meeting the educational needs of the kids that are coming in here, because we want them here. They enrich our community and they make life better for all of us, so.
So that was my comment on that. I do have a couple more items. As you all know, I joined the ARMS PTO over the climate and culture concern here, and also having a child here in this building. I wanted to say thank you to Mr. LaFountain and Mr. Arabian, who have been the administrator and the teacher who have continuously come to the PTO meetings. They are the only two that have come to the PTO meetings. We would really like more parents to show up to the PTO meetings. We will put forth something shortly to the ARMS families that we're doing a kindness week, February 24th to the 28th. There's a bunch of things that the PTO is organizing, everything from a poster contest to a writing contest to loop in, the academic piece of it. We're going to have ice cream for the kids on Friday, all sponsored by the PTO here. Every day is going to be something different. We have parents who have donated prizes for the best poster in each grade and the best essay in each grade. I wanted to also say that, and from hearing from the two who do show up, the climate and the culture in the building, it's not anywhere where they want it to be, but it's better. And Mr. Arabian, he came out and he said, we always have a lot of work to do. He goes, but the climate has come down. Things are moving in the right direction. It's never going to be as fast as everybody wants it to be, but things are moving. The PTO also is looking to put out a survey to the teachers here at ARMS to say, as a PTO, in your classroom, how can we help you? Are you looking for a volunteer? Do you need more supplies? We're basically looking to put out something to give them an opportunity who can't come to the meeting to say, hey, we need your support as parents here in the classroom with these types of initiatives. So wanted to give you a brief update because the climate and the culture here at ARMS was a huge issue, and I think we all needed to look at it from a perspective of where do we go from here, and not how are we going to continue to butt heads with everybody here. So thank you to the PTO. If you're watching this evening, you guys have been doing an awesome job. I have just a couple more things. Matt sent me an email about the vision of a graduate, and I'm sure that will be talked about in public relations, so I do want to make sure that that is talked about. But I need some volunteers or maybe some conversation about how we set our district goals moving forward, specifically for our superintendent. I'm looking for everyone's opinions. I'm thinking that we take a look at the superintendent model that tells us what the evaluation process, or what the evaluative pieces are. And if everybody could take a look at that rubric, come up with an idea on what you would like to see, we should really meld together our goals for the superintendent for at least the next 3 years. So if we could, if anybody would like to be on a committee for that, or would like to just email me individually, I'm looking for ideas on how we set our next goals. Does anybody have any feedback on that while we're here? Okay. We can go the committee route and take a look at what the superintendent indicators are. There's a whole SMART goals. There's an entire model set up for how we look at the superintendent's job and what tasks can be asked. But I really would love to start that conversation so we have a roadmap. But that conversation hasn't started, and I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have goals that we have to have and meet and move forward. So with the assistance of Matt setting some goals, and with us coming to the table with additional goals, I want to make sure that we are focusing on moving the district forward. And I think that was it for me. Budget and finance. Lee, did you have anything you wanted to add?
We didn't get to meet last week, so we'll just set our next meeting and go from there.
Facility subcommittee.
We didn't get to meet today.
Okay. Negotiations.
No significant updates to share at this moment, but we are, as you know, working through superintendent contract negotiations.
Awesome. Thank you. Academic excellence.
You guys have the meeting notes from December. We did just meet this Monday, and we got some updates on suspensions. They've started to increase in all schools. I think having the deans in the hallway at the high school, having the new deans at ARMS and ACES, and then the Tier 1 team at...
Yeah, I was gonna say,
they've been decreasing. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Decreasing, not increasing, sorry.
Peaked in November and have been steadily decreasing.
Then decreasing. But the Tier 1 team also at ARMS is doing an awesome job to help with that culture. And then we got an update that according to our district instructional plan, 3 of our 4 schools met their target for the winter in testing, which is outstanding. So continuing to work on that.
Awesome. Thank you. Public relations. Matt, turn it to you.
Well,
You got-
the other thing
I know.
to that, 'cause I was not able to attend the steering committee for Vision for Graduate, so I'll let you take it.
So I will say, I was only able to attend a portion of the steering committee. It was fabulous. It was a really great experience. There were staff and parents and community representatives that did show up, which was awesome. Ashley Santiago from Focus Schools has been facilitating this work in the beginning. There was an excellent slideshow presented, and we talked about what the purpose was, identifying the strengths and skills and knowledge that we want our graduates to be leaving our district with. They were put together some data, and the group, unfortunately, I moved on to the Academic Excellence Subcommittee meeting, and then while I was there, the group that was at the steering committee used some of the data that was brought for Athol High School and started digging into it and discussing what the skills, knowledge, and characteristics are that we want to see in our kids. I have a little update that was sent officially. I probably should have just read it, but the Vision of a Graduate Steering Committee held their first meeting on Monday, February 10th. The committee learned more about the project and their role in leading the work, began reviewing the district data, and started brainstorming their own ideas, again, about the essential knowledge, skills, and mindsets we want for all Athol High School graduates. The next meeting is set for Monday, March 17th, and at that meeting, we're going to be reviewing additional district data, and we're going to be talking about focus group feedback. So if anyone has any questions or ideas in the interim regarding this work, you can reach out to myself, or you can reach out to Mr. King as well, and we will take that feedback to the group and work with the steering committee. Yeah, Bobby.
The time is going to be 4 to 6?
It is 4 to 6. That is, I believe, the standard time. I just want to double check. It is. I believe there were other dates that we just put together. I don't think that they've been fully vetted by the group, but we have meetings set up for the next few months. And the hope is to have this work continue this school year, and potentially we'd like to have the basis of, right, what our vision is by June. There's still work to be done once that general vision is painted, because the object of this work is to start at the end with the vision of what we need our graduates to be doing, or the skills they need, and then work our way back through the schools and talk about the work that has to be done to meet those goals that we want our kids to be able to walk across the stage with. And that goes from, we start at the high school level where our graduates are leaving, and then we'll go back to the middle school, and then we go to our elementary schools. It's essentially backwards design, a best practice in education, but we're doing it for our entire development of our work to serve the needs of the kids. So I'm really thrilled that this work is going so well, and I'm excited to see it continue.
So, thank you. And policy.
Right, first on the agenda for policy, we do have a first read of our policy BEH, which is in regards to public participation. I did want to highlight, even though this is a first read, I did want to highlight some of the main changes, just to bring them to your attention. So first and foremost, our current policy actually doesn't technically allow for district staff, students, parents, of students who go here. It only accounts for those who live in Athol or Royalston. And so the subcommittee felt pretty strongly that that is not the route we want to go. We want to hear from those who work in our district or go to school in our district, even if they may live out of Athol or Royalston. So we added that component in. There were a lot of questions during our last public input session regarding, could we extend time, things like that. So we put some parameters in to allow for that based on simple majority votes and things like that, so that there's a clear path forward during public input if there's more time needed. And that's for the overall time as well as the individual speaker's time. Couple other things in bullet number 5. If there are comments that are longer than 3 minutes, we did want to make it an option for people to provide those through the chair, and the chair can disperse those to us as that person sees fit. Reading of anonymous input would not be permitted, because there's no way for us to validate that they belong to either of the groups that we outline who are allowed to speak. So Athol-Royalston residents, district staff, things of that nature. So, however, we would certainly allow reading of a statement on behalf of somebody else who meets one of those criteria. So we could envision a scenario where someone's on vacation but has input that they want to say on the agenda. And so we want to make sure that that is still something that can be done. So those are just some of the highlights as far as changes to the policy that I wanted to bring forward. Again, this is only a first read, so if there are other questions, concerns, or changes, please just let me know, and we can bring them to the subcommittee level. In addition, we have 2 policies on a third reading, so we'd be looking for a motion and a vote. The first one is EHB, which is our data records retention policy. That's been in our packets for the last couple months, so just if there is a motion to approve.
Second.
Great.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
And then the second is the EHAA, which is district security relating to technology, also up for a third reading and looking for a motion.
Move it. Motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Jody, can I also just make a note too that we'll need to alert MASC that we've added those policies in, because I believe we've already sent them our policies that they're.
And I have another one that needs to be updated as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Definitely.
Okay, moving along, we have committee member referrals. Lee, we'll start with you tonight. What do you got?
Nothing tonight.
Okay, Frank?
Nothing tonight.
Emily? Laura? Emily? Christy? Bobby? Nothing tonight? Eric?
Just in Laura's defense, she forgot to mention that the hatchet hunt is this Monday on the school grounds, so.
Awesome. Okay, we do have a need to go into executive session this evening pursuant to MGL LC 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of a public body and the chair so declares. In addition to pursuant of MGL C21A3 to conduct strategy in session for preparation of negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-personnel, and that's for the superintendent. I need a roll call vote. Eric?
Mr. Bigmeyer, aye. Patty Hall, aye.
Okay, Tammy Duquette, aye.
Brittany Newton, aye.
We are now in executive session and we will not come back out into public session. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.